up on their feet with those glow sticks. McDonald's works hard, we play hard, and watch us dancing right out of this. As we get ready to introduce your keynote speaker, he wants you up, he wants you moving, he wants you shaking it, because I told you guys play hard. You don't just work hard, you play hard. So this is what is happening right now. David is the #1 best-selling author and CEO of the Brownlee Group. He has over 2 million learners from around the globe. He is a former Tony Robbins business coach and seminar leader, and has conducted over 5,000 one-on-one coaching sessions with executives, business owners, and professionals. His clientele include Google, LinkedIn, Harley-Davidson, and now McDonald's. David believes that you can make a positive difference in our world, one employee at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for David Brownlee.
Good to be back, doesn't it? All of us together. I got a very important question for you. How many of you had some fun last night on your day off? How many of you were the big winner last night? Well, a little less. By show of hands, how many of you just want the hangover to go away? I'm a morning person, can you tell? I am so excited to be back here with you guys. Each and every one of you is a Top Gun. Give yourselves a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Each and every one of you has put in so much time and effort into your restaurants. Isn't that true? The good days, the days we wish we would have forgotten, like the Venetian wishes yesterday never, ever, ever happened, right? But I gotta hand it to them though. You know, we went out to dinner last night and we came back and, you know, our keys didn't work. And I'm like, okay, we gotta go downstairs and get it fixed. There was a line. You guys see that line? Some of you were in that line. How many hours? Was it at least 2 hours? 3 hours to check in? 4 hours to check in? Do I have 5? 5 hours to check in. I'm looking for 6 hours, 6 hours to check in. But they gave you pizza. They were trying. Last night it was funny, we went out to dinner and we had a great dinner and before we went to dinner, my daughter, she's 8, you may have seen her around here, Sophia, and she said, Daddy, I want to eat this sundae after dinner. And she ran over to the living room. She took out a little menu, and there's the biggest milkshake I've ever seen in my life. It had candy on it and suckers in there, and I was like, it was just a sugar bomb ready to explode. But she's a good girl. I said, okay, baby, we'll do that. There's a place called the Black Tap. Has anybody ever been to the Black Tap? Most of you haven't been there because you can't find it. It is hidden, and we put it up on Google Maps. It says, you are 404 feet away from the Black Tap. I was like, okay, it's gotta be right here. And I looked at it, you had to walk through the swimming pool, around the statue and everything. I'm like, there's no way we're gonna find this place. So I saw a security guard, and I said, hey man, can you tell us where the Black Tap is? And great customer service. You know what he said? He said, absolutely, it's right down here. In fact, you want to just follow me? I said, wow, man, this is some good service, absolutely. So we start following him, and we're following him down. We're following through the casino. I mean, like my family and I are like behind him. We felt like rock stars, right? To everybody else, we looked like we were being escorted out of the building. And we followed him. And I'm like, man, that feels like more than 404 feet. But he's the security guard. He knows what he's doing. So we kept following him. At one point, he stopped. He turned around. We knew each other. And Michael's his name. He said, David, I think I'm lost. And at first, I thought we were getting punked, right? I'm like, dude, you walk this place every day. He goes, but listen, I got good news. I'm like, what? He goes, if we go back upstairs, I can find her from upstairs. I was like, really? And my son's like, well, you know it's on this level. He's like, yeah, but let's go upstairs. So we find an escalator, we go upstairs, and now he's walking. Now he's like, oh, I got this now. He's walking. And then finally, he finds an elevator. We go down to the elevator. He gets us to the black tap, ladies and gentlemen, for my daughter's milkshake. There's only one problem. The menu that my daughter saw was an old menu. The milkshake didn't exist. Oh, Sophia. So she ordered a different one instead and had a great night. Pitbull is with us, ladies and gentlemen. Can we get a camera on him? Pitbull is in the front row. I never had Pitbull at one of my shows, man. Thanks for showing up, man. I appreciate you. So this is my family. They actually happen to be here with me. Today is my birthday. So yes, working on my birthday, nowhere I'd rather be. So my family came out here with me, and I'm so excited to be spending it here with all you guys. Some of you may remember I love motorcycles. Motorcycles is my favorite. Any other motorcycle riders in the room? Yeah, I see a few motorcycle riders out there. There's nothing like it, right? You get to get out with yourself, refill yourself, recharge your batteries. And as we're going and talking through today, I want you to think about your own batteries. What are those things that maybe you haven't done in a while? Maybe it's a hobby you have that you haven't done in a while. Oh, God. Oh, my God. That was amazing. Thank you, man. Thank you. I love you, man. That's why I'm here. You guys are a step above. And I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Thank you to all of you. So I want you to think about those things that recharge your batteries, right? What are those things that you haven't done often enough? Because, you know, if we have kids, how many people have kids, right? Yeah, how many people have lots of commitments? You're like, I don't have time for myself. But what I've realized in going, when you can take some time for yourself, whether it's an hour, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, whether you're meditating or yoga, we're gonna talk about that in a little bit, it fills you up, doesn't it? And don't you have more to give? Yeah, so I want you to think about that. Because your teams are feeling the same way. And they're looking to you to give them permission to fill themselves up, right? We're all cheerleaders, aren't we? Right? The man that says manager, but really we're cheerleaders. We got to make them feel good, right? We got to show them the way. And we can do that. We're going to talk about that. Now, lots of things drive us to do what they do. And I like to share with you what drives me. What drives me? It's those little people right there and my wife. February 2008, my life changed forever. My wife and I had moved down to Nicaragua. Anybody been to Nicaragua? Down Central America, I see a hand out there near Costa Rica. And we were going down there to live the life, right? I had some friends that moved down there. I just sold a company and was gonna go for a midlife sabbatical, right? And if you've ever been down there, I mean, it's a place called San Juan del Sur, and it's where the cruise ships come in. There's the white sand beaches, the palm trees. If you can imagine, just the smell of vacation, right? The waves crashing. And I'm like, man, this is pretty good. And one day, I had a friend of mine, he said, David, I got great news. I said, what's going on? He said, dude, there's a new sushi restaurant in Managua. Sushi in Nicaragua? I was like, we gotta go. So it's about a 2.5-hour drive, and we booked a hotel, and we said, okay, we're gonna go out there. So we drove out there, we're like, we'll make a weekend of it. And we get ready to go, and I told Luna, I said, hey, you know what? Let's take a taxi cab, because maybe I wanna have some sake. And she said, that's a good idea. So we jump in the cab, we drive down, we have dinner, beautiful restaurant, great ambience, great friends, eating sushi, right? And then when we're getting ready to leave, we said, okay, well, we gotta find another taxi cab. And as soon as we came up to the hostess desk, I saw a taxi cab dropping some people off. I said, hey, babe, there's a taxi right there. So we jump into the taxi cab, and we're driving along, and you got the windows down, you know, wind in my hair, what little hair I got. And that song from Rocky 28, you know, Eye of the Tiger, what's it called? It's like blaring, you know, we're driving along. All of a sudden he pulls over and he says, tengo que urinar. Those of you who speak Spanish understand, he said, I gotta take a piss. And I'm like, that's a weird thing to say, man, you know, but go do your thing. Goes in the field, he urinard. And then he came back in, gets in, we start driving. About a minute later, he pulls over again, and now somebody gets in the front seat. And it's a little weird, but in Nicaragua, they have something called a cooperativo. The cooperativo, it's like a shared taxi cab. And I said, okay, you know, that's cool. He gets in, we start driving. And then about a minute later, he pulls over again. Now, this time, somebody gets in the back seat. So if you can imagine this, we've got the taxi cab driver in the front, we got another guy in there, I'm sitting behind the driver, Luna's in the middle, and someone's next to Luna. Have you ever had that sinking feeling that something's wrong? This was that moment. All of a sudden, the guy in the front seat, he pulls out a handgun, he puts it in my face, he says, la plata, la plata, la plata. Give me the money. So I grabbed the gun because I knew he couldn't shoot me. And I'm wrestling with him, but I didn't realize was that the guy in the back seat was his partner. So he pulls out a knife, he comes at me, and he catches me right here. He draws back again, he shoves it straight into my thigh. He pulls it out, and blood goes squirting everywhere. And in that moment, I knew I had to take down the situation. With no weapons to try to get out of the situation. Now, as funny as it sounds, I relied on everything I had learned throughout my business career, the things that were so trained into my mind: communication, customer service, sales, influence, leadership, to try to communicate with these guys to get us out. And for me, a lot of people might say that's the worst thing that ever happened to you. And at the time, it felt like that. Obviously, we made it. My wife is fine. Nothing happened with her. Aside from the traumatic effects that we go through in situations like that. But when I look at it in a different way, that was the greatest gift that I've received. Why? Because I started thinking about life. When you have a near-death experience, it's not like your whole life flashes before your eyes. It's more that you start thinking about your life and what you did to contribute to it. I ask myself questions. Did I do enough for other people? Did I love enough in my life? Did I have more to contribute in my life? And that's what changed my life. Now I get to do this. I get to do this. I get to be here and make a difference in people's lives. I wrote this book called Customer Service Success. It's my newest book. It did go #1 bestseller on Amazon. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now I get to do this every day. And had that not happened to me, I wouldn't be on this stage with you today. And that is a gift for me, to be here with you. And so I met this guy, Tony Robbins. Anybody familiar with Tony Robbins? Yeah, I was a business coach for Tony, seminar leader for a number of years, learned a lot of how to take people from where they are to where they want to be. And that's completely changed my life. So let me ask you guys a question. Imagine a time, it may have been last night, when you had terrible customer service. Imagine that time. Okay? And then ask yourself this question. What made it terrible? Was it somebody wasn't treating you right? Was it the accuracy of the order? Was it something, what was it? Was it a broken item? Did it not work? Did you need a refund? You didn't get the refund? What was it that made it so terrible? Okay, don't worry, I'm not gonna leave you thinking about that. Now, imagine a time you had amazing customer service. Get that in your head. It's a little harder for people to think of the time they had amazing customer service. But think about that time when you actually felt like a rock star. What made it amazing? Were they calling you by name? Were they taking care of you? Were they treating you a certain way? Was the experience just out of this world? Okay? Think about those things. And what made that transaction amazing? How did you feel at the end of that transaction? And then the big question is, what could you do in your restaurant to make sure that your customers feel the same way that you did? What are those things? Because when you think about that, this is what your team is looking for from you. They're looking for those ideas, right? And they're watching you, aren't they? Right? Just like the parents in the room when your kids are watching you. Even when you think they're not watching, they're watching, right? So are you setting that example? With all the pressures that you have as a manager, right? Or if you're an operator, all the pressures you have in an operator. How are you showing up? How are you treating your employees on those stressful days? When everything's going right, everybody's like high-fiving, woo, we're on it. We're at the top of the charts. You see us at the top of the charts? Well, what are those days when it's just customer after customer? Things are wrong, right? Kids are crying because they got the filet of fish instead of the hamburger. That happened to me once. We're going to talk about that. That's a childhood trauma. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But they will never forget how you made them feel. Isn't that true? When I'm here with you guys, I want you guys to feel good. I want you guys to go back to your restaurants and be the best that you can be. So I want you guys to think about that. What charges you up? What refreshes your battery so that you can come and be the best that you can be and make sure that your team and your customers are feeling good? The first key is to master the CS psychology. What am I talking about? Dave, we're talking about customer service. We're talking about psychology. It starts with psychology. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look at the psychology of your company because it all trickles down, doesn't it? Everything that you do, okay? And you guys work for one of the greatest brands on the planet, the biggest restaurant on the planet. How did they become the biggest restaurant? Lots of different ways. But there's a psychology that goes in to everything that you guys do. Forbes magazine says mission-driven workers are 54% more likely to grow into high performers. How many of you, by show of hands, want high performers on your team? Raise your hands. Yeah, absolutely. It starts with your mission and your values. Okay, our mission is to make delicious, feel-good moments easy for everyone. Feel-good moments. Is that an accident that word is in there? Feel-good moments. Because listen, if you remember back to that time when you had that excellent customer service, that excellent experience, how it made you feel, right? You felt probably pretty good, right? So once you left there, right, you went back, you saw your spouse or your significant other, and you felt good, so then they feel good. And then they're feeling pretty good, and they go back and they see your kids, and they feel pretty good. And then your kids feel good, and they go and they talk to their friends, and then they feel good. I call that the customer service ripple effect. And each and every one of you and your employees have that power to put something good into the world so that they're feeling good. And that's your mission. So your values, right? To serve, you put your customers and people first, right? Your good neighbors, your family, you get better together. You open your doors to everyone, which is not always easy to do. We do the right thing. And that's bigger than me, that's bigger than you, it's bigger than your restaurant. These are mission and values that can have an impact on how people feel. And when people feel good, now the sky's the limit. They can do anything. So let's talk about the psychology of your customers. Oh, the psychology of our customers. David, do you know what kind of can of worms you are opening up right now? All types of customers. Difficult customers. Customers that have different beliefs than we do, right? But your customers only want 3 things from you. Now, you might be saying, David, 3 things from you. God, how late was he up last night? That malt must have gotten to his head. Our customers want way more than 3 things. Well, let's take a look. I'm going to prove it to you. Don't take my word for it. Number 1, they want to be heard. Is that true? Your customers want to be heard? Yep. Those parents in the room, your kids want to be heard, don't they? Right? My kids will come up to me and they'll say, Daddy, 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 Daddy. Daddy, 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 Daddy. Yes? Nothing. They just want to be heard. Your customers are the same way. Next, they want to be understood. They want to be understood. Have you ever had a problem with the customer service and you went and where's the manager? I am the manager. Right? And then you're telling them everything that happened, and they go, account number. Did you hear anything I just said? Right? Zip code. Right? Your customers want to feel understood. Understood. And sometimes it feels weird, doesn't it? You're like, it's just a Big Mac. Right? But what don't we know why that customer is so upset? Maybe that customer is on their way to a job interview. Single parent. They've got their kids in the car. Kids want to eat. They stop at McDonald's real quick. We'll get it. I've got just enough time to get to my job interview. And the kid gets the wrong thing. Filet of fish. It's still on the menu. And the kid's crying, and the mom's trying to go, and she's like, oh my God, do I turn around and go back, get the Big Mac, or is the kid eating filet of fish? Right? I'm gonna turn around, I'm gonna go back, I might be late, but I gotta do this because my kids. And now they're upset because they got the wrong order. Does it feel different? Knowing somebody's backstory? Right? Because everybody's going through something. Maybe it's a financial difficulty, a relationship difficulty, a health difficulty. And maybe they have some memory of McDonald's from when they were little kids, that's their sanctuary. Right? That's a happy place. Okay, so they want to be understood. So if we take the time to understand our team members, we're setting that example so they'll take the time to understand our customers. Does that make sense? Are you guys with me on a Wednesday? Yeah, Las Vegas. Ooh, I like it. And number 3, they want to feel cared for. Do you even care about what's going on? Right? When a customer has a problem, they want to feel like you care. And sometimes you got to be a good actor. Oh, yes. Can I get an amen on a Wednesday? Oh, you got to be a good actor. You got to sell it. But if they feel heard, they feel understood, they feel cared for, 80% of those problems go away. If we can think about that and have a system in place to make sure that we're thinking about that on a constant basis, all the other metrics, everything else falls into line. But it starts with one thing, it starts with your customers. Well, that's great, David, but what about when I've got to fight traffic to get to work? I got rent due. I've got things I got to do with my kids. What about the psychology of you? And with a lot of my clients, when I'm doing coaching, I've done over 5,000 one-on-one coaching calls, if you can imagine that. There's not a lot I haven't seen or heard. But one thing that I do understand is we need to take care of ourselves, especially when we have no time and things are pressure on us, right? When things are pressure on us. So listen, there's a lot of things you can do. Might be meditation, prayer, journaling, right? Or reading before your shift or before you go into work, right? Or it might be the first thing you do in the morning, right? Something that takes care of your soul or your spirit. The second thing is they've done lots of studies now, and we know that moving your body can change your mood because it's a chemical reaction that we have. The endorphins get going, right? We're creating dopamine, right? We've got adrenaline cleaning out our systems. Okay, so that might be yoga, walking in the gym, dancing. When my kids were really little, we used to do dance parties in the kitchen. My kids have seen Minions. Have anybody seen Minions? The original Minions? I think there's like 8 of them now. The original Minions. What's that song, Pharrell? Happy? Happy? I have heard Happy 842,000 times. But it still makes me smile, just thinking about it. Right? And the kids are moving and everybody's moving and then, bam, now we feel good for our day. Right? And number 3, positive music, podcasts, trainings. How many of you ever been driving in the car and your favorite song comes on the radio by show of hands? Oh yeah, they've done studies. The music goes straight to your nervous system, right? Don't take my word for it, I'll prove it to you. You ever been driving along and you start singing and you can't sing? I get knocked down and I get up again. Nothing's gonna keep me out. And you just on it, right? People looking at you next, you're like, oh, I'm a singer, I'm just rehearsing. No. Right? But you feel good, don't you? Yes. But you gotta be careful, because it works the other way too, right? You're driving along, and that song comes on that you used to have with your ex. Driving along, you start getting teary-eyed. Such a good relationship. You want a good relationship? It's just a song. So you gotta be careful. But if you put on that positive music, boy, that could get you going too, right? And we need to be ready when we step foot in our restaurants, don't we? Don't know what's coming. But we gotta treat our customers like they're guests in our homes. People say you gotta wow your customers. 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 What do you want me to do? Get them a pony? I can only wow them so much. I suggest to you that we work on building relationships with our customers. A customer is the most important visitor on our premises. They're not dependent on us. We're dependent on them. They're not an interruption in our work. They're the purpose of it. They're not an outsider in our business. They're part of it. We're not doing them a favor by serving them. They're doing us a favor by giving us the opportunity to do so. Isn't that how you have an amazing restaurant? Because you can't have a restaurant without customers, can you? Okay, so let's move on to key number 2. You guys with me on a Wednesday? How am I only on key number 2? We got to understand our customers. And you guys are really good at this, asking them intelligent questions, right? Getting to the bottom of what the problem is. Because sometimes, especially in a fast-paced environment, we don't think we have the time to really get to understand. But when we ask them a question, what can I do for you? What would make this right for you? That's a scary question, isn't it? What would make this right for you? Some of those customers that you ask, you never know what they're going to say. But by asking it, you're getting to understand whether you can accommodate them or not. Ask them the question, what could I do to make this right for you? I call this the Horacio effect. Anybody remember CSI Miami? Is it still on? This guy was one of the best, didn't he? He had asked questions, somebody be guilty. I'm not guilty. Right? And he started asking them questions, like, yeah, okay, I'm guilty. Right? He was that good. So look for verbal and nonverbal cues. Verbal and nonverbal cues. This is the fastest way, especially in a fast-paced environment. Verbal and nonverbal cues, right? Because sometimes some people won't express themselves to you, but they're upset, right? And 95% of the people who are upset in your restaurants are not even going to tell you they're upset. And 91% of them won't come back. So how do we know, David? How do we know if they don't share with us? Verbal and nonverbal cues. I had a keynote speech in Atlanta once, and I went into my favorite hotel, and my flights were delayed, had problems getting the rental car. It was ridiculous. I finally got in 2 in the morning, and I just want to get in my bed and go to sleep. And so I pull in, and there's one person at the counter, and she's looking down like this, and she's on her phone, texting, Instagram, whatever it is, right? I just came in, very politely. I said, hi. You know what she did? She looked up at me, rolled her eyes into the back of her head, and as I thank you for coming and choosing, blah, 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 right? And I was like, well, okay, whatever. And then finally she looked me up and she was like, oh, thank you for being a platinum member. I'm like, I don't feel like a platinum member, right? And she was just like this, right? That's her verbal and nonverbal cues. So we need to make sure that our teams are open, right? They're open. They've got a smile on their face. It's amazing how far a smile can go. We're going to talk about that in a sec. And then those nonverbal cues. So if somebody's upset, right? And you go and you get it better, you give it to them, and they're like, okay, great. They're still upset, aren't they? Ask them that question. What could I do to make this right for you? That one person, right, could keep them from going online, could keep them from giving you a complaint, right? But we have to care, right? What are those 3 things your customers want from you? They want to be heard. Yes, they want to be understood, and they want to be cared for. And if we can do that, we can take care of most of those problems. Now, always take a sec. I love this one. Always take a sec. The first one is smile. Everybody smile real big. Put a big smile on your face. Look at the person next to you with a big smile. If you brush your teeth, smile at them. All right, put a big smile. Let me see those teeth out there. Oh, yeah, look at these good-looking people out there. Okay, put a big smile on your face. Now, I want you to get upset while you're smiling. Come on, you got to get upset, but you got to keep smiling, though. You got to keep smiling. Can you get upset? Can you do it? You can't do it. Your smile is sending a message to your brain that you're happy, even if you're not. Okay, so that sets up the transaction, doesn't it? It's very hard to be an angry customer when someone's just sitting there smiling at you. You gotta be careful though. You gotta be careful, because if they do have a problem, you need to act appropriately, right? You're just smiling. They'll slap that smile right off your face. But a successful transaction starts with a smile. Now, the second one is eye contact. Eye contact. Isn't that important? Right? Understand that you're having a conversation with somebody. Have you ever been talking to somebody and they're making eye contact and then all of a sudden they just kind of... It's weird, isn't it? Even when I'm on stage, it's weird. Right? Make eye contact. Let them know that, hey, whatever they're going through, whatever you're doing to serve them is important. We got to make sure our teams are starting with a smile, making eye contact. Whenever you see a McDonald's commercial, you ever see anybody frowning when they're handing out the stuff? No, of course not. They've always got to smile. Now, when you go back to your restaurant, here's what I want you to do. Take a look at your team and see if they're smiling. Sounds simple. David, I've heard this all before. Of course, that's common sense. Common sense isn't always common practice. Isn't that true? Yeah, I know. Right? You know, when we say I know, our brain is shutting that thing out. It's literally not coming in. I know. Anybody have kids that know? They know. Right? So make sure that they're smiling, eye contact. And the third one is a comment or a compliment. Right? And who likes compliments in here? Me, everybody. Look around the room. Everybody likes compliments. You're the best crowd I've ever had. You are. Give it up. Give it up. I love you guys. Are you guys with me on a Wednesday? Is it Wednesday? I get confused sometimes. I was on a plane. Okay. Key number 3, respond positively. Anybody ever see this movie? Yes, Man? With Jim Carrey? If you haven't seen the movie, he goes through the movie, he's going through a rough patch in his life. I think he's a bank teller or something. And he starts saying yes to everything and ends up getting these great adventures and opportunities that come to him, right? So when you're dealing with customers, try to avoid the word no. Oh, it sounds impossible, doesn't it? I'm going to give you a ninja secret. You guys want a ninja secret in a second? Okay, 8 of you do. I'll tell you afterwards. You guys want the ninja secret to avoid the word no? All right, here it is. Wait for it. I wish I could. What I can do is, it works on your kids, your wife, everybody. I wish I could. What I can do is, okay, so let's break that down, right? Because we always hear no, right? Can I get some more fries? No! Can I get a refund? No! And it starts when we're little, right? I remember when my son was like 2 or 3 years old, he was sitting in there in the dining room, I was doing some work with my computer, and I went to go grab him something, and I turn around 2 seconds later, he's standing on the table with my laptop, sippy cup out like this, and I'm like, no. Right? It starts when we're 2 years old. And then your teacher's telling you no, everybody's telling you no. Won't someone just say yes? Right? So go back to your restaurant, and this is a challenge for you. See if you guys, how often you can avoid the word no, and see how that affects your customers. Right? I wish I could, because that shows like, hey, listen, I understand. Again, you got to sell it. You got to sell it. I wish I could. What I can do for you, now you're switching the focus from what you can't do to what you can do. It sounds simple, But don't take my word for it. Try it. Try it. Try it when you go back to the room tonight with your friends or your partner. I wish I could. I was sitting there watching football, and my wife is like, "Hey, can you take out the trash?" Honey, I wish I could. What I can do is get Angelo to do it. Angelo, go empty the trash. You're my man. All right, key number 4. What is key number 4? It's empathy. Empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. And as humans, we understand how to do that, right? Just putting ourselves in somebody else's shoes. But it's so hard to do nowadays because we don't like to talk about it, right? Empathy, you can be empathetic. But that can change your customer experience in an instant, couldn't it? Just by getting some perspective. I remember when my kids were little, we were going to take them on their first ski trip. And we were so excited. We were going to all the different places to go buy them, the gloves and the jacket and the pants, the little boots, right? Get them ready to go out there, the goggles and everything. And that little size, I think everybody in San Diego had the same idea. Everything was sold out. Everything was sold out. So I'm like, okay, maybe if we go online, we could do it in time, to get there. And we started looking online. We're like, okay, we can do it, right? So we went on Amazon. Anybody use Amazon out there? I think they got billions of customers now, right? I generally have a really good experience. So I'm like, okay, I buy the stuff on Amazon. We're part of their membership program, so we put it in there. And the next day, we get an email, and it says, hey, by the way, your card on file has expired. I'm like, okay, no big deal, right? So we go in, we put in the card, It says, and now that changes your delivery date till the day after you're going skiing. That's a problem. But no big deal. We'll get with customer service. They'll take care of it. Talk to customer service, and they're like, oh, so sorry, there's nothing we can do. Because it's all electronic, and it's in there, and we can't change it. And I'm like, oh, this is not good, right? So I started thinking about it. I was like, well, do you have a manager, or are you the manager? You're like, oh, let me get my manager. So I get the manager. And the manager started repeating back things like, oh, this is your first ski trip? Yeah. Oh, I remember our first ski trip. Yeah, everybody's excited. You got to get them stuff to wear, get for your kids. It's like, yeah, we do. Yeah, and if you don't do it, your wife's going to kill you. Yeah, you understand. You get me. I wish I could. No, he didn't say that. I would have understood, but no, he said, you know what, I'm gonna work on this. I think I got it. I'm gonna send you an email, and I'm gonna follow up to make sure that you got it. And sure enough, he was able to hack the system. I don't know what he did. He hacked in there, and he got it delivered the day before we left. Yeah, you clap for that. That was good, yeah, we got it. And there's my little girl enjoying the skiing. So use these 3 keys for empathy. These 3 keys. Number 1, put yourself in somebody else's shoes, right? Because if you're on your side, you might be like, what are you so upset for? Right? But let's put ourselves in their shoes. Oh, that's why you're upset. I'm coming back over here, right? We understand. Number 2, share a similar experience you or another customer had and the solution. Sometimes it's a great way to introduce a solution as well, isn't it? Say, oh, you know what? Somebody else had this very same problem, and here's what we did to solve it. I might be able to do the same thing for you, right? Now they know that, hey, they're heard, they're understood, and at least I care. Whether I can solve it or not is irrelevant at this point. It's just building that relationship. Does that make sense? All right. And then number 3, WAP. WAP. Not like the song that came out recently. No. No. I did this slide long before that song. But I call it the window of perception. You guys want to have some fun? You guys have been sitting down way too long. Do you guys want to have some fun? All right, everybody stand up. Everybody stand up. Turn to the person on your right, give them a high five and say thank you for being here. Turn to the person on your left, give them a high five and say thank you for being here. Oh, yeah. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to split the room in half, okay? You guys are inside. Where are you? Yes, you are. You guys are outside. Okay, good. You guys are inside. You're sitting in a house in a suburban neighborhood, and you're looking out your front window into your front lawn, right? What do you guys see? What do you guys see out there? What are some things you see outside? Trees, car parked, mailbox, kids, somebody walking in front of your house, right? Okay, rocks, good, excellent. Okay, now, you guys are outside. It's the same house. It's the same window, the very same part in time. Now, you're looking inside. What kinds of things do you see inside? People, a table, TV, right? Somebody staring at you out their window. Yes. Okay, good, good. Now, let me ask you a question. Same house, same window, same moment in time. Do you see two totally different things? Yes or no? Yes. That is what's happening with your customers. You guys are looking at the very same issue, the very same moment in time. You're just looking at it from different sides of the window. Does that make sense? And what we can do is we can just step outside for a second and look inside and say, oh, I understand. Right? You don't have to agree. You don't even have to necessarily like the person. But you just come over here, you understand where they're coming from. Right? And you can do the same thing, right? You just come and you step outside and you see. Right? Or inside. I forget if I'm inside or outside right now. I'm in the middle. I'm the glass. Does that make sense, everybody? All right, turn to the person on your right, give them a high five and say, you rock. All right, have a seat, have a seat. Woo! Make yourselves comfortable. Oh, wow, look at this picture. That right person put in there. Clarify for accuracy. Clarify, clarify, clarify. And each and every one of you are some of the best I've ever seen at this. But I think it's worth talking about. Repeating the order, right? We all repeat the order. The machines do it for us now. Everybody repeats the order. I see exactly what I ordered. The key is checking for agreement. Especially with the kiosks now, you can go in there and you could accidentally put in filet of fish. Accidentally, right? Check for agreement, right? So when you're repeating the order, check for agreement, because isn't that a sticking point in our restaurant sometimes? Accuracy? Yeah, it can be a sticking point, right? So not only are we going to repeat the order, we're just going to add one little thing at the end. Check for agreement. That one thing can change your numbers dramatically when it comes to accuracy. Is this hard to do? No. Could you do it? Could your people do it? Yes, absolutely. Number two, repeat the issue if somebody is upset. And check for agreement. Pitbull knows. Yeah. Check for agreement, man. Absolutely. Number three, repeat the solution and check for agreement. Remember, if you solve something for somebody, check for agreement. Are they still upset about it? Right? What can I do to make that better for you? One of the scariest words in all of customer service. But it's worth it. It's worth it. Okay, and then number six, solutions. Solutions. Each and every one of you are one of the best I've ever seen at solutions, getting me my order. 2 weeks ago, I was in Belgium. I was in Herstal, Belgium. And I was driving to my hotel, and I needed to eat. I was all messed up. I didn't know what time zone I was in. I needed to eat. I'm in Herstal, Belgium. Who's ever been to Herstal, Belgium? If anybody raises their hand, I will go crazy. Okay. Herstal, Belgium, very cool spot. Found a McDonald's, saw the golden arches there, and it was awesome. I experienced the 3 F's. The 3 F's. What are those 3 F's? Boy, they could be anything, couldn't they? Let's take a look. Number 1 is faster. What can we do to get our customers their food faster, right? The geofencing, now everything is so amazing what McDonald's is doing, and each and every one of you doing in your restaurants. But we gotta continue to keep thinking in our restaurants, how can we get it to our customers faster, right? Number 2, friendlier. What can we do to be friendlier? That's what we're talking about today, right? If we can get somebody their food faster and we can be friendlier when we do it, it becomes fantasticer. I need another F. Make it more fantastic. What can we do to make that experience more fantastic, right? Because when you're at the top of your game, if you're LeBron James or Michael Jordan, whoever, whichever one, right? When you're at the top of your game, can you just sit on your laurels? No, you have to keep trying to get better. And what can I do to improve? And what can I do to get better? What can I do to get better? Right? So we want these 3 things. How can we make our service faster, friendlier, and fantasticer? More fantastic. Make sense? You guys with me on a Wednesday? Oh yeah, all right. We're rolling through. 3 ninja secrets to turning around upset customers. Anybody ever have upset customers in the restaurant? All right. I didn't know if I have time to go over this, but we understand. The first thing is let them vent, apologize to the customer, and give them an unexpected item of value, right? And of course, I wish I could. What I can do for you is. So I got the gun. And I know he can't shoot me. What do they want? The money. So we go to an ATM, we get them the money, a few $100. And they got my wedding ring. But my wife, she took her ring off and she sat on it. She hid it from them. They didn't even think about that. Now that ring has a very important sentimental value to us. It's like it's our protector. Years ago, my dad and I, we said we want to go to Italy together. Dad, let's go to Rome. And he said, okay, let's do it. And he said, yeah, you know what? I've got this trip we can go on. I said, okay, Pop, let's do it. And we went to dinner. And we were going to talk about going to Rome together. And we were waiting for the little buzzer to buzz. The buzzer buzzes, and I start walking to go meet the hostess. And I hear some lady behind me scream. And I look back, and my dad was laying on the ground. And I asked him, I said, Dad, are you okay? What happened? He's like, I don't know. Yeah, I just, something happened. My legs gave out. A few weeks later, we found out that he had cancer. And he was getting ready, to get better. And he said, David, I'm going to get better. We're going to go to Rome together. And I said, yeah, Pop. You're going to get better. We're going to go. And he didn't get better. And a few months after he passed away is when I met Luna. Now, Luna's from Italy. And I said, okay, we're going to go to Italy together. And she said, you know what? I've got an idea. Let's go to Venice And we'll go to the Ponte of Sighs, the Bridge of Sighs, and we'll have a moment of remembrance for your dad. I said, baby, that's a great idea. But I had another idea. She wasn't my wife yet. And I'm like, I'm gonna get on a gondola, not the ones out front, the real ones, in Italy. I'm gonna get on that gondola and I'm gonna ask her to marry me. And so I went and I talked to the gondolier and I said, baby, you get to choose the gondolier. And she was like this, no, 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 no. And I've got the ring burning a hole in my pocket. I'm like, choose a gondolier. She chooses a gondolier. We get in and I tell the guy and I'm like, what I'm gonna do. And he's like, oh, this is a great idea. And I said, okay, so take me to a canal where there's not a lot of people and stuff. Oh, I can do that. So he takes me to the canal. Get on my knee, balancing the boat. And I said, will you marry me? And she said, yes. Thank goodness. Thank goodness she said yes. Next thing I know, I hear applause because we're under one of these bridges and there's like 20 people watching us like this. Hilarious, right? So we go and it was a great day. We're having dinner, and I hear this song playing. It's called The Shadow of Your Smile. And that was my dad's favorite song. And there was somebody out there who was playing, guitar for some money. I went and put some money in there. And I said, hey, that was really great rendition. I go, can you tell me where the Bridge of Sighs is? And he says, you're standing on it. And it was one of those great moments. And right then, we knew that that ring was our protector. And we're back in the cab, and we're driving, and everything's a little more calm. In fact, we start driving into the equivalent of the Beverly Hills of Nicaragua. And I started thinking to myself, like, if they drop us off here, this is great. Because they could drop us off in some other parts of Managua and the whole thing could start all over again, or even worse. So we start driving along, and then all of a sudden, I see a dirt road off to the right. And I remember thinking to myself, as long as we don't get on that dirt road, we're gonna be fine. And then they turn down the dirt road, and we start driving away from the lights. Everything was getting dimmer. Dimmer, dimmer. It was pitch black. The taxi cab stopped and they said, get in the taxi cab. Get on your knees. And I remember closing my eyes, waiting for the very next sound. And the sound was the taxi cab pulling away. We'd made it. And my wife was wearing a white dress, and she didn't realize that I had been stabbed, and she looked at her dress, and it was all red. And she started screaming. I said, no, Luna, everything's okay. It's all right. I took my shirt off, and I tied a tourniquet. Anybody ever seen of those zombie movies? Not the good ones, like the B movies. And you're like walking like this, the credits are rolling, and you wonder if there'll be a zombie B movie too, right? It was like that. When we get to the houses finally, and the gate guard, called the ambulance, they came, picked me up. The embassy came to the hospital, wanted to know what happened, told them about it. And we heard a few weeks later that some people had the same experience, and the cops came and they shot and killed the assailants. I don't know if it was the same ones or different ones. But I do know there's some change there now. That whenever you're in the back of a taxi cab at night, they have to put the light on. So there's some change. But for me, I've taken this experience and been able to turn it into what I'm doing now and to be here with you guys today. And thank you. Thank you for the opportunity that I get to do this. And as part of my gratitude, I want you, if you would like it, I worked a long time on this book, Customer Service Success. I want you to have it for free, the electronic version. And that is my gift to you and your team. And as you go through the book, there's some exercises in the back that your team can go through step by step by step to talk about those things that we did today in a practical way, so you can apply it to your restaurants. And like Randy was saying, at 2 o'clock, I'm gonna be next door. I have some physical books with me. I only could carry 60 of them. I'm very glad that I was able to get some books here. So if you would like, I would love to do a selfie with you guys. Naomi, where's Naomi? She showed me the selfie we had together last year when I was here. So I'd love to take a selfie with you guys. If you see me, stop me, we'll do a selfie. If you get a book, I'm just gonna, I think they're like $10. I'll sign the book for you, we'll get a selfie, and really, this is my way to say thank you to you. So if you have your phone, pull out your phone, scan me. I did this technical thing all by myself. So if it doesn't work, blame Randy. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. You are all Top Gun. You are all rock stars. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys.